Over the past few days, we've been gathered together, and what has brought us together has been our faith. That has been the common bond with all of us. Most of you just know the people that you came with. But we are all united in our common faith in Jesus Christ. It is our belief in Jesus that has motivated many of us to travel from across the Midwest in buses and vans and cars. Speakers have flown across the country to be here. The volunteers have taken personal days, they've taken vacation days, just to be a part of this experience. Many of you young people, you had to plan your work schedules around this weekend and give up other opportunities for vacation just to be here. And the thing that has brought us all together, all that sacrifice, all that effort, it's our faith in Jesus. That is the common bond that all of us have here at this moment. And when you kind of step back and you think of the enormity of it all, I was told there were 3,700 young people this weekend here, to say nothing of all the volunteers and the staff. 3,700 individual lives and all the details of each life when you think about it. And all of that coming together at once. Nothing was left to chance. Even the unexpected twists and the turns that might have occurred along the way, it all has a purpose. Sometimes when you have to go to a lot of meetings and when you kind of get bogged down with all the details, somebody will say, well, you know, the devil's in the details. We don't believe that. We believe that God is in the details. And it is the hand of God that has brought all of us together for this weekend. And if maybe things didn't work out the way you expected, or you had a little negative experience, or something didn't quite work out around the way, or even on the way back home, you get a flat tire and you're delayed a couple hours. There's a purpose to all of that. Even in what seems to be negative or outright bad for us, God can make it all good. And if you don't believe that, all you have to do is look at the cross. Because the cross is God's proof that good can come from evil. The cross is God's proof that death is not the end. And only God can take an instrument of torture and turn it into the sign of victory. Over the course of these 3 days, God has been active in so many hearts. How do I know that? Because I helped, along with the other priests, to listen to 1,836 confessions. That's how I know that God has been active in many hearts this weekend. God has called many of you to these little mini moments of conversion. And actually, God's called a lot of you to some major conversion in your life as well. I saw in the auditorium last night, here in this very space, I saw Jesus walking through the crowd, touching hearts, changing lives. God has had his hand on this weekend. There's no doubt about it. And now, as they often say, all good things must come to an end. It's the closing Mass, and soon all of us are going to get back into our cars or the buses and the vans. And Steubenville 2014 is almost over, and things are going to get back to normal. And you know what? I like normal. The older you get, the more you like normal. But you know what? We will never be normal again. Because you can't draw closer to Christ and then go back to normal. That's impossible, huh? If you have been inspired by something that was said in a talk, or if you were touched in adoration, or opened your heart in a small group reflection, you've been changed, you've been transformed. Maybe in some small way or some major way, but you're no longer normal, huh? There's a new normal. And that's important for us to capture that essence of that attitude. We have been changed. I am not the same person I was 3 days ago. I have been inspired by all of you. And I'm going to go back to St. Louis, and I'm going to go back to the parish where I live, Holy Redeemer, and I'm going to have to do my duties tomorrow, but I'm not going back to normal. None of us is going to go back to normal because our normal is new. And if we do think we're just going to go back to normal living, well, then this weekend has been a waste of time. The gospel for this Sunday uses this image of the wheat and the weeds, And where is that wheat found? It's found in the midst of the weeds. It's all mixed up together, And each one of us has examples of the weeds in our life. It's inescapable. It's all part of living, And what is the wheat called to do in the midst of it all? We're called to stand strong. We're called to stand tall and to be that wheat for the glory of God in the midst of all the messy weeds of life. And we've all got them, Our mission at the end of this gathering is to go back to our family and friends and to change their normal. Not for us to go back to normal, but to change their normal. We are called to take what we have experienced and bring it to others. What is that called? Well, the popes lately have been calling it the new evangelization. That's what it's all about. Taking God into the normal messiness of life, taking the gospel out into the street, bringing Jesus into the everyday so that the ordinary can become holy. That's our mission, And in the midst of doing all that, maybe some of the weeds can be transformed into wheat. Because if Jesus can take bread and wine and transform it into his own body and blood, he can take the messy weeds of our lives and he can transform it into his glorious wheat. But we have to do our part as well. Each one of us has a part in the new evangelization. And it would be a shame for this weekend to just come to an end and everybody get back in their buses and go back home and nothing comes of it. What a wasted opportunity that would be. But if we could leave at the end of this and go forth saying, I can make a difference. I'm going back to the same old, but I want to transform the same old. Normal isn't normal anymore. It's a new normal. It's been transformed. And God wants each one of us to do our part in this new evangelization. We each have a role to play. John Henry Newman said it so well. God has created me to do him some definite service. He has committed some work to me which he has not committed to another. I have my mission. You see, God has a work for me to do to build up his kingdom, and not a one of you can do it for me. I have to do it. And God has a work for each one of you to build up his kingdom, and nobody else in this room can do it but you, your individual mission. God has a work for us to do. And if each one of us could go home with that mission in our hearts, well, then there's no more normal, is there? Now, a lot of you have experienced a lot of beautiful things this weekend, and you're going to go home and think, well, what do I do with it all? I don't know what God is asking of me. I'm kind of confused. Or you might be scared because you do know what God is asking of you, and you don't know if you want to do it. And all of us are going back to people who have not experienced what we have experienced. You're going to walk through the doors of your house, and mom and dad or one of your brothers and sisters, they're going to say, well, how was it? And that becomes that pivotal moment of evangelization. And you can say, it was nice, and keep it all to yourself, and miss that opportunity to evangelize, even your own family. Or you can take what you've experienced here, and as difficult and as uncomfortable and challenging as it might be, because I don't talk about these things to my family, you can give them a little insight into what occurred in your heart this weekend. And when you do that, you're part of the new evangelization. Oftentimes, it's not clear what we're supposed to do. And that's okay, as long as we have open hearts and that desire to do God's will. In fact, again, in that reflection, John Henry Newman said, he knew God was calling him to something, although he didn't always know what it was. And he ends his reflection by saying, God knows what he is about, therefore I will trust him. That's all it takes. It really can be that simple. What does the Divine Mercy portrait say? Jesus, I trust in you. Say that and leave the rest up to God. It is standard practice at the end of a retreat to make a resolution, to make some spiritual commitment for yourself so that the retreat will bear fruit in your life after the retreat is over. And how sad, again, it would be if it all just ended here and everything stayed here in this auditorium. It would be a missed opportunity for evangelization. So I'm asking all of you, before you leave here, in the privacy of your own heart, or to share it with one of your friends, I'm asking you to make a resolution. And for some of you, maybe that resolution might be to strive for purity. For some of you, it's a commitment to say, I'm not going to miss Sunday Mass anymore. In fact, I might even pick a day to go to daily Mass. For some of you, it might be, I need to clean up my language. I need to be more respectful to my parents, the people who love me the most. Or I need to open my heart to my vocation. Or very simply, I need to pray more. And you see, in making that resolution, you're saying that as I go back to the messiness of life and to all the weeds, I'm going to be the wheat. And again, each one of us has the weeds in our life. No one has a perfect life. The messiness that you left to come here will still be there when you come back. But you're different. You're not going back to normal. And if you make that resolution and take that resolution home with you and bring that to your family and friends, well, then you're taking part of the new evangelization. The closing prayer for this Mass is beautiful. It says, let us pass from former ways to newness of life. If we do that, there's no more normal. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.